What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we've got a weekly reset in Destiny 2. Of course, it's January 23rd, and as always in this video we'll jump in and check out the main rewards as well as vendors for the week. But on top of that, we've got another game update this reset that should bring a few fixes for seasonal content, so we'll link any patch notes for that. Plus we have the Eververse refresh, and then we'll cover the vendors. We've got the return of the Iron Banner, but also featured weapons and cosmetics for the week. Plus we'll cover some of the key unlocks and rewards, farmable exotics, featured lost sectors, and plenty more in the video. So as always, I hope you guys enjoy it and find it useful, and if you do, get subscribed for more D2 content, but otherwise, let's get into it. Of course, there was some maintenance which was extended ever so slightly, but the game is finally up and we've got update 7306. So before we talk about vendors and things like that, firstly for patch notes. And in the Crucible, they say the intro quest for the Ascending the Division has been removed. On top of that, for Trials of Osiris, they fixed an issue where the quittal penalties weren't working correctly in labs. And for Iron Banner, Control is now a selectable mode while other modes are featured. Plus they fixed an issue where Eruption was missing voice over lines. So a couple of good changes there, especially having Control available in the Iron Banner. But then for seasonal activities, they say spike traps are now slightly more forgiving when jumping over them. On top of that, they fixed an issue where the final radio message of the season didn't complete the Ahamkara Tails triumph, and an issue where the rolled stats triumph didn't take tier 1 purchases into consideration. And then in Riven's Lair, they fixed an issue where Vex detained missiles tracked enemies instead of players, which is a funny one. And in the Coil, an issue where dialogues weren't considering the player's current progression in the seasonal narrative. Another where the 100,000 points challenge didn't reset weekly, so that's good. And one where the Strand enhancement buff was giving the stasis enhancement buff instead. So some useful fixes there, and in Starcross, they fixed an issue where players could damage the boss from outside the arena. Once again, we also got that last week, so we'll see if the fix works this time, but they fixed an issue where players could get trapped below the floor as well. And inside of Warlord's Ruin, they fixed an issue where players could get trapped in a death loop inside of the hidden room before the final encounter. And also, they reverted the right side Warlord totem fix from last week's update that was causing more totem spawning issues. But for the last few patch notes right here, for Peregrine Greaves, they say they no longer deal additional damage to boss level tormentors like Nezarek. So that's still been a thing, but unfortunately isn't any longer. They also fixed an issue with the artifact, preventing some versions of it from previous seasons being correctly cleared from player inventories. But finally, for weapons, they fixed a problem where Enhanced Deconstruct incorrectly displayed the Attrition Orb perk, and another where Enhanced Adept Word of Crota hand cannons could incorrectly gain certain magazine perks. And they say invalid magazines will be removed and replaced with valid options. And then they fixed a missing bow charge meter on the Lethophobia bow from this season, and a problem where the Precision Instrument perk wouldn't grant its damage bonus against Divinity cages. So some interesting and useful ones I suppose there, but finally in general, they say the Friendly Feet Dance emote will now show expected prompts for its standard and multiplayer interactions. Plus they fixed an issue where some returning players were unable to use Fireteam Finder even above Guardian rank 5, and one where the Dawning Triumph for the Reveler title couldn't be completed, so that one should now be available, which is positive. Of course, it's taken a little while, but there we go, a few fixes for the season in the patch today, and let us know your thoughts on any of them down below. And next up, of course, as we get into the game right here, we can see the Iron Banner has returned, so feel free to visit Lord Saladin in the tower if you want to pick up any Iron Banner rewards, triumphs, or anything like that for the event this week. We do have additional Valor as well, which is worth pointing out. Then of course for seasonal content, nothing new this week as far as we know. I believe most of the quest stuff is wrapped up. Of course, if you're still making progress on the Wishkeeper bow, then you can jump into Starcross, but otherwise we'll have to see if we get a finale or anything like that later in the season. We can, however, check out the Eververse store for the week, as always right here, and we'll focus on the Bright Dust items. So initially we've got the High Seas Dance on the front page, which is 3,250 Bright Dusts right here. A pretty cool one from back in Season of Plunder. On top of that, there is the E99 shell, or the egg shell, which is 2,850 Bright Dust this week on the front page, a very curious thing. And then we've got the Reef Oracle Transman effect, which is 450 Bright Dust this week in the store. On top of that though, there is the Metropolitan Acoustics shader on the front page. As always, these are 300 Bright Dust, and also we've got Whispered Sheen available there as well, so let us know your thoughts on those. But moving over to the main Bright Dust section right here, we've got the Stress Ball exotic emote this week for 3,250 Bright Dust right there. A pretty cool one from Witch Queen. On top of that, there is the Unacceptable emote, which is 700 Bright Dust this week in the store, a legendary one. And then we've got the Wanderer Shell exotic ghost, which is 2,850 Bright Dust available there. On top of that, the Celestial Kestrel exotic ship, which is 2,000 Bright Dust. kind of cool one right there in the store this week. On top of that, though, we've got the War-Torn Peregrine Exotic Sparrow, which is a cool one, which is available for 2,500 Bright Dust. And then the Omnipotentia ornament for the Tractor Cannon for 1,250 Bright Dust available this week, so that's a cool one. But then we've got the Daily Bread Ghost Projection, which is 1,500 Bright Dust. I still don't understand why these are so expensive, but for the second page of shaders, we've got Verdigris initially right there this week. Once again, all of those are 300 Bright Dust. We also have the Chitin Slate, which is kind of cool with this armor, at the very least. But on top of that, there is the Lucid shader, so we'll take a look at that one. And finally for shaders, we've got the Trinity available this week as well. So give us your thoughts on the shaders. But finally, we've got the Reflection Effects Transmat Effect, and these are 450 Bright Dust. There's also the Reef Shimmer available this week as well. And then very finally, we've got the Inflorescence, if I'm saying that one correctly, which is one from this season. So give us your thoughts on the Eververse store and let us know if you plan to pick anything up. But now as we head over to Banshee, right here, we've got the Lunalata 4B bow available with Shoot to Loot and Golden Tricorn. There's also the Timeline's Vertex with Autoloading Holster and Demolitionist, and then the Vulpecula, which has got Ensemble and Headstone. Also Disparity, which is Moving Target and Headstone, and then the Bump in the Night, which has got Field Prep and Turnabout. So those are the currently featured weapons, but of course weapons and roles will change throughout the course of the week. But to visit Shader 1 in the annex, we've got the old Titan Destination armor, the Terra Concord set for Titans at least. So if you're looking to add the old Titan Destination set to collections, you can do so right here. But for the featured shaders, we've got Bogusian Knight from back in the Black Armory, which is generally considered to be a pretty nice one. People are fans of the Black Armory stuff. We've also got Flowers of Io, which is an old Io Destination shader, so I don't think you can get this any other way than to visit Shader now. Ada now. Goodness me, we're getting mixed up. But finally, we've got the new Monarchy Diamonds available this week if you're after older faction shaders. All of these will cost 10,000 Glimmer. Up next though, for the Nightfall this week, we should see the Hypernet Current, and the featured weapon there will be the Pre-Astyanax bow. So if you're after an Adept variant of that, of course we've got Grandmasters. And otherwise, if you want better rolls or to pick one up for the first time, it'll be a good week to play the Nightfall. On top of that though, Vox Obscura is the featured exotic mission this week, and so Dead Messenger and Season of the Risen weapons will be featured in there. As always, those are farmable activities. Plus, we'll have the Garden of Salvation for the featured raid this week, so if you want to farm any of the weapons from Garden, they're all up for grabs. And on top of that, we've got Spire of the Watcher featured. And yes, it is possible to farm the Hierarchy of Needs bow by running the boss checkpoints, so that could be another good one to go after this week. However, very finally, we've got the featured Lost Sectors for the week, and for today, it's the Bay of Drowned Wishes in the Dreaming City. That'll be dropping exotic chest pieces. Then for January 24th, it's the Chamber of Starlight in Dreaming City, dropping exotic helmets, which is followed by Perdition on Europa on January 25th, dropping exotic legs. And staying on Europa, it'll be Bunker E15 on the 26th, dropping exotic arms, which is followed by Concealed Void on the 27th, dropping exotic chest pieces. But then we move over to Neomuna with the Thrillerdrome on January 28th, dropping exotic helmets, and finally, it'll be Gilded Precept on Neomuna on January 29th, which is dropping exotic legs. So those are the exotic drops from the Lost Sectors this week. And otherwise, guys, for the video today, that rounds up pretty much everything we have to talk about. So as always, I hope this one has been useful, and if it has, a rating down below very much helps us out on the channel, but also let us know if you'll be diving into Destiny 2 this week in the comments section. But otherwise, I will keep you posted with all the news and updates from Bungie. We should get another TWID this week with some juicy info about some of the content that'll drop on January 30th, so that'll be interesting, and keep it locked and loaded here on the channel if you want to stay posted. But otherwise, I appreciate you tuning in, and I hope you guys have an awesome day.